Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're joining me on this Facebook Live on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, I've lost track of my days. I am Chelsea and I am the Principal Psychologist here at the Psych Professionals. So a little bit about the Psych Professionals. We have two practices, one at Loganholme and one at Capalaba in Brisbane. And today, inspired by Are You OK Day, we are doing a conversation corner. And essentially what this afternoon is for is to really look at what to say after you say, are you okay? And that is the main thing for the Are You OK Day this year, is there's more to say after Are You OK? And really highlighting that it's not just about having that initial statement or that initial conversation even. It's about what then happens after that, both directly after that and then, the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, really looking at moving forward what happens in that space. So I am just making sure we're setting all of this up right. And I am incredibly lucky that Are You OK Day have the most amazing presentation that they have allowed us to use. If you want to jump onto our webinar, the details are in our Facebook group. Otherwise, you're more than welcome just to have a bit of a look on our Facebook Live. And I'm going to kick off our presentation now. So before we start the actual presentation and the conversation corner, the first thing is in terms of just acknowledging that there are going to be some people, if not a lot of people at the moment, who are really struggling and that are actually not okay. So if you're one of those people or you know one of those people, it's really important to be able to know where you can go for some more support, whether that be professional support, somebody to listen to you, somebody to talk to. So really important to be able to access those services, to be able to keep yourself safe, to be able to know where to go next. So this little slide here, it has a couple of different phone numbers, a couple of different websites where you can go to access support. So if you are not okay, please most certainly access some of these support services. This morning we had a really good chat to a couple of the different services available in our local area. So if you haven't already had a look at that webinar or that recording, please definitely go through and have a look at that. It was absolutely wonderful. And the services that we had as guests were fantastic. So we had, beg my pardon, we had Denise from Haven, we had AJ from Headspace, Anna from Quinn, Torrin from Queensland Ambulance Service, Miranda from Evolve Wellbeing, and Dwayne from Source Health. So it was really great to have a chat to them about who they were, their services, the people that they support, and also their key message for what to say after Are You OK? So now we've had a look at those key support lines, I am going to start off this wonderful presentation that Are You OK Day has graciously let us use. So again, the main message this year for Are You OK is that there's more to say after Are You OK? Before we start this, please make sure you have your teas. I've got my tea here. It's lovely and it smells beautiful. I've already had a coffee this morning and I limit myself to one per day. But if you're a coffee person and you're allowed more than one a day, then most certainly grab your coffee as well. You can't have a good conversation without a warm drink, I think. It makes it a lot easier. Definitely the Are You OK Day message this year is that there's more to say after Are You OK? And I think this is a message that is really important for us in the mental health field as well. At the moment, with the entire pandemic that's happening, with the severe impact it's had on a lot of people's lives, whether that be health-wise, financial-wise, work-wise, impact to their access to families or resources or healthcare. There's been a lot of different changes. There's been a lot of instability. There's been a lot of chaos and crisis that have happened over the past couple of months. And it's really important generally for us to try to support each other as best as we can within the community. And I think the initial message of being able to check in with people and ask that Are You OK message is so incredibly important. But it's then also what happens after that point that really connects people and really reduces the stigma around mental health. It really provides that support as opposed to that check-in. And I think that's why we're so passionate about that. Generally in mental health, if you're in the allied health field at all, or a medical profession, because it can be, a couple of different things that you say after "Are you okay?" that can make the big difference for somebody as well. So it's a really important message, and we're really excited about today in terms of Are You Okay Day and what the message that it brings. So a conversation could change a life. I think we've all been in a stage or a state in our life where we're having a really bad day, whether it be, you've just had your car break down, or something bad's happened with your family and you're feeling really alone, you're feeling really isolated, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where to go. And it can be somebody really simple or something really simple where somebody says to you, "Are you okay?" Or, "Hey, do you want a cup of tea?" Or, "Hey, do you want to have a seat?" And it can completely change your whole day. So I think this statement is incredibly important because it highlights how one conversation can actually have such a huge impact on everybody, on everything, on your week, on your month, on your year. So when you notice a change, no matter how small, trust your gut instinct and ask, "Are you okay?" This is another really important one because I think we all have been guilty when somebody says, "Are you okay?" We go, yeah, good. And then afterwards go, "Well, actually, no, I'm not actually really that good." So I think this is really important for us when we're doing the asking, to really trust our gut feeling. And this next slide really looks in, rather than just listening to what people are saying, looking at that consistent message. So do these three things add up? Is what they're saying, what they're doing, and what's going on in their life actually add up as part of a bigger picture? So when we're looking at, the person saying they're fine, is their life falling apart? Are they crying and they're saying they're fine? Is that actually consistent? So I think it's really important when you are asking, "Are you okay?" to be really prepared to stop, take stock of what's going on for that other person, and really have a really comprehensive look at what's going on for them. Preparing to ask, "Are you okay?" So again, I think especially what was highlighted this morning, it's really, or it can be easy to ask, "Are you okay?" It's then really difficult to respond to what that other person then says, especially if the answer is no. So I think when you're asking, "Are you okay?" to somebody, it's always good to prepare, well, if they say no, what then? What am I going to do? And one of the big things that we'll talk about soon that came across this morning is to be quite genuine, and how important that is in asking, "Are you okay?" and then with what follows. So I think when you're preparing to ask, "Are you okay?" one of the first things to be able to assess or to look at is to really evaluate, can I ask, "Are you okay?" and be really genuine? Can I ask, "Okay, are you okay?" And am I actually listening to the answer? Or do I have the space at the moment to be able to listen to the answer? Do I have the space to be able to do what's needed to follow up if they're not okay? So I think that preparation is really important. So the first part of that preparation is, am I ready? The second part is, am I prepared? And then that third part is, have I picked my moment? So all these are equally as important, as we sort of just had a chat about. So the "am I ready" is quite important, because if you're not in a space where you can support, if you're actually not okay, sometimes you're not actually ready to ask somebody else if they're okay. So I think it's really important to assess, where am I at in this space today? And if somebody else is not okay, do I have the energy to be able to give to them? Do I have the space? Do I have the time? All those sorts of things. Am I prepared? So this lovely little character, so I'd love to help. Do you have what's needed? Do you know what to say if the person says yes or if the person says no? And then, have you picked your moment? For this one, in terms of picking moments, it's really important to have a bit of a think about who that person is that you're asking. Does that person prefer to have those particular discussions by, just with you and that other person? Are they happy to have it on a bus? Are they happy to have it in a coffee shop? Are Are you in the middle of trying to get the kids ready for dinner? Are you in the middle of, the morning rush? So I think it's really important to be aware of this conversation for that other person potentially might be a quite emotional and maybe even quite a difficult conversation. So is the moment that you've picked to ask, are you okay, a moment that is going to help facilitate the response from that person that is also a genuine and true response? How to have an are you okay conversation. So first, ask, are you okay? So once we've done that prep, it really is just about saying, are you okay? And being there for that person. And I think quite a few speakers this morning really highlighted, sometimes it's not actually what you say, it's just being there in that moment. It's having that listening ear, which is this next step, actually genuinely listening, actually being there, nodding to that person, letting them know that you're taking on board what they're saying, and having that non-judgmental response of, oh, well, why haven't you done this? Or why haven't you done that? It's more about going, that sounds really hard. That would be really difficult. I don't know what I do in that situation. So being really compassionate, really non-judgmental, and just sitting there and being in that space where you can listen to that person can be one of the most helpful things and one of the most helpful responses. Once you've done that listening part, if needed, it's to encourage action. Is there something that this person needs support with? So one of those responses can be, what do you need from me? Do you need some help? One of those responses can be, wow, that sounds actually really difficult, and I also don't know what to do about that. Do you know who you can go to for help? Or you actually sound like you know what needs to be done, what needs to happen for us to do that together, or what needs to happen for you to do that. So people can be quite amazing at the things that they can identify for themselves. So I think it's really important in that space to be able to look at that and go, sometimes people know what to do, they're just stuck. Sometimes people don't know where to go, and they know they need support, but they don't actually know where to access that support. So really helping them and encouraging that action and being there for that support to be able to do that. And then checking in. So really just continuing to ask that, are you okay message, going, how are you today? We had a chat yesterday, last week, last month, you weren't coping so well. This is where you're at that point. What's been happening since then? This really shows the person that you actually care. You are following up, you are interested in what they're doing, you're checking in to make sure that they are coping, there's checking in with any changes that they may have, and really being there for them for that next level as well. So some of the things that you can say when you're asking, are you okay, is exactly this. How are you traveling? You don't see yourself lately. Do you want to talk about it? I've noticed a few changes in what you've been saying or doing. How are things for you at the moment? And particularly this one, especially with the current situation. I know there's been some big life changes recently. How are you going with that? So it doesn't necessarily need to reflect on who they are and how they're going. It's just, this has been a really crazy, ridiculous time. How are you coping with that crazy, ridiculous time? Which really opens the door and normalizes for them that they may not be going okay, because there's a lot of people that aren't going okay at the moment. And then it comes to the after part. So what happens after the are you okay? What happens after you go through that process where you ask, are you okay? Where you listen to them, where you've encouraged action, you've done that check-in. What happens after that point? So we're then listening. I'm here to listen if you want to talk more. How are you feeling about that? And I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like for you, but I'm here to listen why you feel the way you do. These are all really great examples of that non-judgmental approach. So we don't make it about us. We don't make it about, oh, this is what I would do, or this is what I think you need to have happen, or this is why I think you shouldn't be having this reaction. It's really about going, I'm just letting this person express how they're feeling. I'm letting this person express their situation, and I'm letting them know that I'm here to do that, which is really important, even if they don't want to talk. Then we're encouraging action. So a big one here is that, what can I do to support you? We've all been guilty of jumping in and doing what would help us, I think. And it's our first response of human nature to really go, you know what, this is what I would do, or, you know, this is what I think is going to be the most helpful for that person. And we all get really excited about solving other people's problems because we love the people that, you know, that we're talking to, and we have this emotional connection with them. But sometimes it's really important to take that step back and to actually go, you know what, this is about this person and their situation. So what can I do to help them? And it's really important to ask them that question. So what's the first step that would help you through this? Maybe what's something that you enjoy doing? Can you make time for that? Can we do that together? And then also, if it is something that you are concerned about, if there are big issues there that you think that you may not be able to cope with, or that you're worried about this person's ability or capacity to cope with, recommending those professional services. So have you spoken to your doctor or another health professional about this? And it might be a matter of finding the right fit with somebody. So if they have done that, you know, have you tried somebody else? You know, have you tried somebody with a different approach? Have you tried somebody at a different center? Those sorts of things as well. So these are some contacts for people who are not okay. And I think it's really important to, I'm just going to move my picture so we can see the entire, there we go. Really important to be aware of these services. There are so many different services out there, and sometimes it can feel so isolating, and you can appear to be so alone with the situations. And sometimes all that needs to happen is to pick up the phone and give somebody a call, whether that be a friend, whether that be a family member, whether that be one of these services, whether that be to go and have a chat with your GP or make an appointment with a counsellor or a psychologist. I think it's really important to be able to be out there to know the services that are available. So here's some services and also their website. So a lot of these services have some incredible resources on their website. And they are incredibly helpful, both for people who are struggling and also the people who are supporting the people who are struggling. So if you're worried about somebody else, a lot of these websites have some really excellent resources about what you can do to be able to help that person. There are a lot more services at ruok.org.au/find help. The team at Are You OK Day have put together some incredible packages about, you know, supporting people in rural remote communities. They've put together some incredible packages about teenagers, about specific to gamers, and accessing and asking Are You OK in certain environments, in certain communities at work. So I think it's really a great idea to check out that website and to really have a look at what services are available there, because they're absolutely fantastic and they put a lot of hard work in developing them. So in summary, we want to be able to, oh, sorry, this is the last one. So this is checking in and making sure that we are following up with that person. So just checking in and seeing how you're doing. Have things changed or improved since we last spoke? What's been working for you since we last chatted? And do you need any more support? So again, really important to do that check-in, because if that person isn't coping very well, it's really nice to be able to have that open and honest discussion and communication with them. So we can do the Are You OK? Listen in that non-judgmental and really genuine way. Encourage action, and we can actually support that person through that action if they need it, and if they're happy and okay with that. And then checking in with them and making sure that they are okay, making sure that they are moving forward, making sure they don't need any extra support. So I think that's the end. We're coming up to the end. Really, the message is that once you have opened that door into asking, are you okay? There's just so many things that you can do to be able to support somebody. There's so many services, if you don't feel capable of supporting that person, that are available to be able to fill in that gap. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Please make sure that we are genuinely asking everybody, are you okay? And let's follow that. Ask, listen, encourage action, and then check in. Thanks so much, everybody.